Hello viewers, 4DIYers here with another video for everyone. In this video here I'll be showing you how to assemble a 4-post lift from TMG Industrial. A link to this will be included in the video description. This is their TMG-ALF90 model, rated with a 9,000 pound lift capacity, 77 inches of rise, removable ramps, and has a CETL-certified power unit. That certification means it meets North American electrical safety standards that is tested by Intertek. This lift comes extremely well packed, and when delivered, we'll need equipment to help unload it. We ended up using a forklift for this job. First was slowly unpacking the lift. First is removing the plastic wrap, packaging straps, and then cardboard wrapping. Great for creating more space in your garage or shop when it's used as a stacker, which is what the application will be here. It can also be used for basic vehicle maintenance, projects, repairs, etc. More packaging straps will need to be removed in order to remove the other components. Definitely take your time. A lot of these parts are heavy, so make sure nothing is going to fall out when you're cutting away these straps. This hoist can possibly be assembled with one person, however I would recommend 2 to 3 people instead. It makes it a lot easier. First was removing one of the cross tubes. Next was taking out the 2 ramps. These are a long approach ramp, which makes them great for lowered vehicles. The overall length of the lift is 207 inches with the ramps and 175 inches without the ramps. Each of the vertical posts were slowly removed. This last post being removed is for the controls. This is shown by the added bracket with the mounting holes welded on the side. This can only be installed on 2 corners of the hoist, so you may need to plan out what the best position is depending on where the hoist is installed in your shop. Pulling out the hydraulic power unit box, this has the controls for the hoist along with the manual, which you'll see in a moment. Along with this was also the mounting brackets for the ramps, wheel stoppers to prevent a vehicle from driving off the ramp, and the top caps for the posts. We stood up all the posts, and based on how the one hoist is already installed in the shop, the power unit will be in the same position. So at this post, it's just a matter of picking up the one post and swapping it out for another. Then after that is using a razor knife to cut off the packaging plastic. The cross tubes also had the packaging plastic removed. You can leave it on in the center portions as a form of protection or just remove it completely. It's your choice. Make sure the posts are roughly in line and at the correct distance apart. Then install the cross tube. 2 posts will need to be done at the same time. When the cross tube is installed, the lock also needs to be pulled back on each side in order to drop it down. We left the cross tube on the last lock, and those locks should be on the outside position of the hoist. Do the same for the opposite side. We found it was easiest to have one person stand on the ramps while the other 2 aligned it with the posts and then pulled the locks back. Again, make sure this side has the cross tube installed on the same lock height. Here's a quick look when the cross tube rails are installed. You can see the lock on the cross rail and the lock tabs on the post is in the same correct orientation. Both rods to disconnect the locks are not bolted onto anything yet, and that will be further on in the video. Next was laying out all the hardware to see what we have and easily determine what goes where. We used the jack tray to keep all the fasteners in one place. Supplied is bolts, washers, lock washers, nuts, shims, and anchor bolts. Having an engine hoist or cherry picker is definitely a huge help for the next part. We jacked up the runways so we were able to fit the frame of the engine hoist underneath. Then was setting up the engine hoist to support the weight of the top runway. The top runway was then unbolted from the metal frame on the ends. After we found unbolting the end frames, having them completely removed from the lower runways was the easiest. The lower runway was maneuvered around as we moved the upper runway into place. The lower runway was eventually placed on top of the engine hoist frame, so if you're able to do that ahead of time, it's also an easier route. We lined up the runway on the one end, installed the bolts along with the stopper plate. This runway has the hydraulic cylinder which needs to be on the same side as the mount on the post for the controls. Utility rails for the drip pans and jack pan needs to be located on the inside of the lift. For the opposite side, it's a very similar process. It was lowered into place and the holes were lined up. Instead of the stopper plate, this side has the brackets to hold onto the ramps. Now is lifting that second ramp into place. The runway needs to be tilted in order to lift it over the cross tube. Once in place, line up those holes and both the front and rear bolts with the brackets get installed. The stopper plates are bolted into place on the rear of the hoist and the brackets for the ramps are installed at the front. After that, we went ahead and tightened up those fasteners for the runways. The runway bolts use a 22mm wrench and a socket with a ratchet. The safety lock rod was installed. It was later fixed as I didn't see the tubes where they fit into underneath the runway. I'll show you that further along in the video of how that rod is properly installed. The rods do come with a sleeve and that has bolts to provide a secure connection. Moving on to routing the cables. The post caps were already put into place. This takes a little patience to sort out the cables. Pay close attention to the diagrams and the instructions. Make sure the cables are in the appropriate pulleys. The nuts may need to be removed on the adjustment rod to help with the installation. Then install the adjustment rod into the top plates. The two nuts should be sandwiched to this plate. There should be one nut on the bottom and the other is on top. I'll provide better footage for each cable further on in the video. Go around tightening up those top plate bolts before finalizing the cable adjustments. This requires a 21mm wrench and socket. Make sure the outer bolt is tightened first to pull that plate in as far as possible, then finish up with the other sides. For the cable routing, I have a video showing all four corners to help with clarity. For the first corner, this is on the same side as the power unit, but not the post with the power unit. As you can see, the cable comes down and is routed into the lower pulley closest to the post. Then it's installed on the bottom left of the ram plate, as you can see. Now the next corner is the post that has the power unit installed. The cable comes down from the post and goes under the lock rod into the pulley. This cable runs the full length of the runway and then is installed in the upper pulley on the power unit side. It's routed back to the hydraulic ram and then is installed on the top left of the plate. This is the furthest corner from the power unit post. This cable runs through the one runway, then into the other on the lower pulley. It then runs all the way back to the hydraulic ram plate. This time it's located on the bottom right corner. The last cable runs down the post, again through that first runway, around the pulley and down the full length of the other runway. It then wraps around the upper pulley and goes back into the top right corner of the hydraulic ram plate. The power unit then gets installed on the post with the mounting plate. This requires 4 bolts with nuts and washers. You'll need a 13mm and 14mm wrenches to tighten them. This is a 2-person job holding it into place while installing those bolts. The hose underneath the runway gets fastened through the hole and then the line from the power unit was threaded into place and tightened. Once running, this will need to be checked for any leaks and the fittings may need to be tightened again. Now for a view of the one runway of how the lock system rod is installed. As mentioned earlier, it was a little harder to see under the runway during the first installation. We had to make some adjustments. The rod installs into welded sections of pipe along the runway. This allows it to rotate freely without catching up on any components. After that was going ahead and using a 10mm wrench to tighten any linkage. Hydraulic oil was added to the power unit reservoir. This takes about 12 quarts of 10 weight or Dexron 3 automatic transmission fluid. You may need to operate the hoist a couple times in order to bleed all the air out of the system. We're not electricians, therefore I won't be including the wiring setup in this video. This, however, does require 220 volts in order to run the power unit. We powered it up, raised it up slightly to disengage the locks, and then lowered the hoist all the way down. This will allow us to adjust all the cables to the appropriate length. You'll want to go through each of the cables and ensure each one has the same tension. The top nut is used to tighten or loosen the cable, while the bottom nut is to lock everything into place. I didn't have a wrench big enough for this, so I used an adjustable wrench instead. Adjustment of the cables was done by feel. You'll have to use your hand to feel the tension on each one and ensure they're all the same. Next was raising and lowering the hoist a couple times to allow everything to settle. Again, we went around and made some adjustments as needed. Keep an eye on how the locks work. You have to pull the lock lever back to ensure all the locks are fully disengaged and engaging. All four corners have locks and should be working correctly. There is threaded rods on each of the locks to pull the tabs in and out. Then finalize the adjustment by tightening the lock nut so nothing moves. You'll also want the locks to be at the same level on each post, using the lock ladder as a reference. Here's a quick demonstration on the ramp side. Two options can be installed on this side. First is the ramps. These fit into a slot, so there's no need to worry about them popping out when a vehicle is driven onto the hoist. Once a vehicle is on the hoist, a stopper plate can be installed in order to prevent a vehicle from rolling off. This simply slides into place just like the ramps. Make sure you go along tightening up all the fasteners. The eye bolts holding out the linkage will need to be adjusted and tightened to ensure it's not rubbing or binding on any of their components. At the moment, the hoist is in a temporary spot and will be moved next to the other hoist that you see in the background. In order to raise the hoist, it's just the push of the button. Then in order to drop it, the lock needs to be retracted by operating the lever, and then the pressure relief valve is operated. I will be releasing a review video in the upcoming weeks, so please be sure to keep an eye out for that. Overall, we're very impressed with the quality. The fit and finish is clean, great quality welds, and assembly is fairly straightforward. It comes with 3 large drip pans and a jack pan. It took us about 3 hours to assemble the hoist. This concludes the rest of my video. New videos are released every week on my channel. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button. It's a huge help to me, and leave a comment below if you found this tutorial helpful. If you're not a subscriber, be sure to also hit that subscribe button. Thank you for watching.